how do we really create that amount of coaching and the micro learning at the point of sale. I think, and then that's exactly what I'll probably try to amplify in my session, and how we brought this to life using the platform. So just a quick one about Castrol. Castrol is all about selling oils, fluids, lubricants, whatever it takes to move the world, whether it's cars or trucks or tractors or even any kind of an industry, whether it's mining or shipping or manufacturing, we move the world. We sometimes call it internally as it's not just about oils, it's about liquid engineering. What's really powering Castrol today is the power of its technology, the aspiration to be a pioneer in terms of high performance lubricants. But what's very important for us, as we've learned in the previous session, that whatever the performance of your product is and whatever the consumer value proposition a global marketing team has thought, if that is not translated at the point where the consumer is going to be experiencing your product, it really doesn't, it's not effective anymore. So it's very critical that at the moment of truth, where the consumer is going to be exposed to a salesperson who's going to be talking about your brand or your product, that person should be very confident and passionate about how they translate the marketing proposition to this particular customer. And for us, that moment of truth is the auto repair workshops. For some of you who may not be familiar with this business and this industry, when the lubricants which you use in your cars and motorcycles and other vehicles are generally consumed at auto repair workshops. And this is the place where there's a very important influencer who comes into play, and that's the auto mechanic or the workshop owner, who has a very important influence on what a consumer would use in his or her vehicle. And this is quite a complicated chain, because imagine that let's take the case of a great product having been invented in a laboratory in UK, and a great campaign being thought over there. And how does that translate to a workshop mechanic who's basically in Singapore? And that's a very long chain of internal organization, then the route to market. And at any point in time, even if one of the links is not as effective or broken, your message won't get relayed to the final customer. And that's the challenge we have in this kind of a complex sales channel, where how do we really ensure that this weakest link, in our case, we identified two such elements, that the final sales rep, who's an employee of a distributor, when that sales rep walks into a workshop, how confident and knowledgeable is he to talk to the workshop about our products, the value proposition, and make the right offers. And similarly, when this mechanic who's going to be talking to our consumers, the final car owners, how confident is this mechanic and how empowered is this mechanic in terms of translating that benefit to the consumer. And you can imagine in this long chain, this chain can be very vulnerable. And the importance of this, importance of getting the messaging right is super critical. So our vision was to really create a set of advocates who are really confident in terms of translating our value propositions to the consumers, who are our brand advocates in the form of people who not only understand and appreciate what the brand does, but their belief and conviction is so strong that it creates a further experience of trust and transparency to the car owners. What we did was really about creating a community of mechanics and DSRs. Now, there's a story behind this, basically, that I still remember there was we had just finished conducting a massive training program, a 2-day workshop with a set of distributor sales reps in China, and each of those sales reps at the end of the program had to do a simple assessment, and they all passed and got the certificates. And 3 days later, I was in the market doing visits to a workshop along with the distributor and the sales rep, and I just happened to ask this particular sales rep about what he thought about why a particular brand was better than another one. And this sales rep struggled. And this person had just attended a program just a couple of days ago. And I experienced this similar kind of situation several times during my market visits. And I realized that so important that we keep on reinforcing a message in bite-sized information again and again and again. So you can't, you have a physical training, whatever you do, but it is so critical that there is a way we are able to empower this sales rep at that point of, the moment of truth, when whatever information this person needs to able to close the sale with the workshop owner should be available, whether it is about knowledge of the brand, whether it is about what sales discounts are there, or about intelligent, orders which can be, made available to this person so that he can save time in terms of closing the sale. So I picked up this, word about information ubiquity in Mary's presentation, and this is really about that. How do we create a situation where this person who's going to be making a, sale to the customer has every information accessible to him at the point of sale, and that too in a manner which is, easy to access and easy to kind of translate to the customer. And once you create such a community with all the DSRs, the distributor sales reps and the mechanics on your platform, there is a possibility that you create where you're able to convert these people who are average salespeople into masters. And that is done essentially through a very intensive level of engagement powered through analytics, where you're looking at, which kind of scores, these people are getting on various kind of assessments, and fine-tuning your content, fine-tuning your assessments, ensuring that you are actually customizing your learning and training needs to each sales rep. And that's the power of a platform which is, driven by, customized learning, and that too in the form of, in the content which a salesperson would really be able to digest easily. And once you do that, you realize that these sales reps really can't live without this particular application, where this becomes a part of their life. My learning has been that if the application does not really empower the person, it won't be used. And that's the value we need to really create, that you need to ensure that the critical processes, which workshop do I go to today? What information do I need about this workshop? What are the products I need to sell today? What's the kind of, value story, or what are the kind of videos or demonstrations I want to show to my customers today? And that's all, that's all the kind of stuff a good salesperson would need in order to complete the sale. And once the salesperson realizes that they're able to do all of this seamlessly and in a very user-friendly manner, that's what encourages them to kind of really become advocates even of the platform. And to encourage the right behaviors, of course, it's very critical to reward the right behaviors, create the role models. And as I think Mary mentioned, not only is it important to find the right markets and pilots where you kind of have people to adopt these tools, but you also find the right champion salespeople, who are willing to kind of become the early adopters, and then encourage and create a whole sense of upliftment for the wider sales community as well. Just as a example of how dynamic and how innovative this thing can be, and once you have a channel created between your last point of sale, which is the sales rep, and the marketing community, you're able to customize content in any form. When COVID hit us, in the first quarter of last year, we realized that it was very important to educate our mechanics to stay safe, and to do things which are right, to ensure that consumers are not scared of walking into these workshops. And therefore, there was a need to create a sense of protection for the workshop owners, mechanics, as well as for the consumers. On the left of the screen, you see some of the content we created, which was very quick. Just like what Mary talked about, her experience of, it was super quick to kind of just, create some bite-sized content and videos and send it out as best practices and advice to our mechanics. This was done in the Middle East and the Saudi Arabian markets. And these videos were instantly, delivered to these mechanics, who very much appreciated that at a time when everybody was scared about what to do, and they were worried about their businesses not operating, efficiently because consumers were scared. Here was a solution which we empowered the sales reps and the mechanics with. And the result was, phenomenal, where we realized that not only did the engagement of, these mechanics with our products became, significantly better, but we also were able to realize significant improvement in sales. So in summary, I would just like to conclude that, platforms like these have really given us a lot of learning opportunity. With each and every day, we have learned what more can we do, and it's just phenomenal. About we started with a simple intent that can we create a platform which will become a bite-sized learning platform. But today, where we have reached is a huge evolution from that point, where this kind of a sales readiness platform, or in fact, I would call it sales empowerment platform. It's not just enabling sales; it's empowering the salespeople. And this kind of a platform can actually become the single most important asset we have for our company.